Yo, what's good? Top of the top, episode 212, Stash House Podcast. Your boy Tyler checking in. First time listeners, thank y'all for tuning in. If you tune in weekly, salute. And it's just an episode. You saw some topics you may want to hear about. Salute to you as well. Like, share, subscribe, retweet. Whatever you do to help support the podcast. Greatly appreciate it. Podcast available on all streaming platforms. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor app, YouTube. Whichever you prefer to listen to podcasts, you will find Stash House Podcast there. So I just want to reiterate once again, thank y'all for tuning in, the feedback, putting your people on. Once again, very grateful, very appreciative of all the support. This week episode is audio only, so you will not find this episode on YouTube. We got some things going on with the studio. Hopefully by next week, everything will be resolved back to normal. But for the time being, going back to the old days of just audio only. Normally, I would cancel at the time, but the NBA playoffs, heading to the NBA Finals, is so much to talk about still with that, and I couldn't leave y'all high and dry. So this week episode, audio only. But I'm here to talk about the NBA playoffs again. Upcoming weeks, playoffs is winding down. Finals are coming soon. So when that's over with, I'll hop back into whatever current events I need to talk about. Honestly, for the past however many weeks, I've been talking about the playoffs. Not much other news for me to talk about. No music. I mean, music been dropping, but none of which I'll, talk about more than the playoffs. Of course, we about to be in June, so I'll give y'all my mid-season or mid-year review in terms of music, some of my favorite projects, some of my favorite songs, artists. I'll handle all that in June, but for the time being, sticking with the NBA playoffs, going to start with the Western Conference. The Denver Nuggets are advancing to the NBA Finals. This is their first Finals appearance in organization history, so I want to send a congratulations out to the Denver Nuggets. If you've been tuned in to this podcast throughout my NBA playoff coverage, I've stated numerous times I've had the Denver Nuggets and Jokic as the player and team with the most pressure in the playoffs. Ideally, I said they had to make the finals to at least make me feel like, okay, they finally got over the Western Conference hump, and they did just that. Not only did they advance to the finals, but in the process, in the Western Conference Finals, they swept my Lakers. Yes. No, the Lakers did not win not one game in the series. I'm going to get to that, but wow, got to congratulate the Denver Nuggets. And you just look at their path to the finals. I mean, they faced the Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, defeated the Suns, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, CP3 while he was there, DeAndre Ayton, and of course, like I said, the Lakers with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. So not only did they get to the Western Conference Finals, they dominated if you want to call them the elite of the Western Conference. They took them all out, players and teams. So I got to send the congratulations out once again because, like I said before, if you've been tuned in, I've been very critical of Jokic and the Nuggets, and hey, they shut me up. They shut me up. Speaking of Jokic, what a playoff run he is having. I want to say in the Western Conference Finals, not only did he average a triple-double, he averaged a 30-point triple-double, and that's just amazing, the way he's orchestrating the team and how they look on the court when he's out there. You got to commend him. And like I said last week, I'm not here to say, well, he should have won the MVP over Embiid. None of that, because it was years where Jokic won the MVP and he didn't show up in the playoffs. So, I mean, we know how that goes. Once again, for the MVP award, if the NBA would just give the award out before the playoffs start, I don't think it'll be no argument on either side if that was the case. But, who are we to say when they should give out the award? Back to the Denver Nuggets. A deep roster, and man, those players show up. Not only Jokic and Murray, but the rest of the starting five, the guys coming off the bench, they can hit big shots, they can get to the paint, they can play defense, cause turnovers turn into a fast break offense. The Lakers just couldn't keep up. And another thing I like about the Denver Nuggets, they operate low-key. of course, like I said before, I don't really get to see too much of the Denver Nuggets play throughout the regular season because, one, they're on the West Coast, and when their games come on, it's probably 10:30, 11 o'clock, and my work schedule just don't allow me to catch their games, and they just don't show that much Denver Nuggets games in my area, so I'm not too familiar with their style of play like everyone else, but in the playoffs, we've seen it, but they operate low-key, and throughout these playoffs, their coach has took the lead of, hey, I'm going to talk for the team, as he should. You know what I'm saying? Jokic, yes, he's the superstar player, but they say Jokic is just a worker. Like, he come in, when it comes to the media, he does what he needs to do. He don't want to do no extra interviews. He doesn't want to do the ESPN, ABC, exclusive sit-down, one-on-one type of interview. He just want to come, do his job, and be out. So the head coach is taking the lead and saying, hey, when we won game 1 against the Lakers, all everyone was talking about was the Lakers' adjustment in the second half from a game that they still lost. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't mad at the coach coming out in the media and speaking for his team because, in a way, with me being a Lakers fan, I said last week, I feel like a lot of stuff got blown out of proportion. And, yeah, I do feel like the media, for the most part, was sleeping on Denver. It just kept coming back to, well, maybe when the Lakers go back to L.A., they can get one. Or when the Lakers get swept, or even when the Lakers got swept, it was, well, LeBron at 38 years old in his 20-year career, he had an amazing first half. And so Denver, they are definitely slept on, but that's not a bad place to be because when you slept on, but you still winning games, you still advancing in the playoffs, and now you into the NBA Finals, they can't help but to talk about you now. You know what I'm saying? So they used to the light, but they still operate on a low-key style of play, which I'm definitely not mad at. So once again, I just want to give a congrats to the Denver Nuggets making it to the finals. Making it to the finals. I've been talking about the Nuggets since the playoffs started. And like I said before, hey, they shut me up. There's not much I can really say about the Nuggets. At the time being, with the way the Eastern Conference Finals looking, I do probably have the Nuggets winning the NBA Finals, honestly. It's just the way they look in the playoffs and the way the Eastern Conference Finals is looking. Denver, and they getting rest on top of that. Denver is looking good to make a run to win the championship. But I think for a prediction early in the episode, I think I got Denver winning, and depending on who wins in the East, maybe 5 or 6 games. But I'll get my official prediction later on this episode. But moving over to my Lakers. Man. We got swept. I did not see a sweep coming. In my opinion, like I always say, it's hard for me to even predict a sweep. Even if the Lakers wasn't my team, I probably wouldn't go say Lakers was going to get swept. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, me being a Lakers fan, I had us winning in 6. That clearly was not the case, but if I was on the opposition side, I would not say Lakers going to get swept. You got to give me at least one. That's my motto. You got to give me at least one. I'm not here to say how dare the Lakers get swept because it was times where Kobe got swept. And I thought it was trash then when Kobe got swept. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to say, well, Kobe would never allow the Lakers to. Kobe got swept before. So I'm not that type of fan to just be blind to what happened in years past. I'm not a new Lakers fan. So I'm not here to say that, but still, you got to give me at least one. You got to give me at least one. And the way that we got swept is like, I mean, I said it last week. The only people that were showing up throughout the entire series was AD, LeBron, Hachimura, and Reeves. And that was still the case throughout the next 2 games. When we was down 2-0, those the only 4 guys that stepped up. And the next 2 games, they still was like the only 4 guys that showed some type of fight on the Lakers team, in my opinion. Where to start? Well, that. Offensively, D'Angelo Russell. You had a chance to somehow, some way, put your name in the box of players who could get a good little contract over the offseason. I think he just shitted and fell back in it with this series, man. He'll come out first quarter, probably make 2 good shots. Rest of the game, you don't hear from him. That was his rhythm the entire series. He come out, make a couple shots, and just disappear. I didn't understand it. AD, Anthony Davis, inconsistent. Yes, he was scoring points, but it just didn't mean much. I mean, game 1, 40 points, yeah, it meant, you know what I'm saying, it gave us 40 points in game 1, but Jokic stats clearly overpower Anthony Davis stats. he was inconsistent throughout the series. And like I said, with Anthony Davis being inconsistent, we really couldn't afford anybody else to be inconsistent. We needed somebody, one or two other players to step up on the inconsistent Anthony Davis game. That didn't happen. And my biggest takeaway, honestly, throughout this sweep, and especially the 2 games in LA, it just like when the Lakers make a run or they're ahead of Denver, it just didn't feel like, with this being the first real NBA playoff series in Staples or Crypto, whichever one you want to call it. Not saying the fans wasn't into it, because clearly it was times where the fans was into it, but basically it wasn't enough shit talking for me from the Lakers side. It wasn't enough, you know what I'm saying, getting the crowd pumped up. Well, like, hey, y'all, we making a run. It's a 8-0 run. Like, get into it. It's the playoffs. Western Conference, we down 2-0. We down 3-0. It just felt like, I don't know, it was a weird vibe. And I kind of felt the same vibe when I was there for wrestling the Monday night after Raw. It kind of, I said it when I was there, not when I was there, but I said it on the episode, just felt like everybody was there just because they got tickets to be there. I don't know if it's an LA thing or what, but the crowd, we've seen when the crowd was hype against Memphis. We've seen the crowd was hype against Golden State, but it just seemed like coming back home down 2-0 to Denver, it just felt like the crowd was like, okay, we're going to cheer when it's time to cheer, but we all know what's about to happen. That's what it felt like to me. Like, when they hit threes, they do the little, like, vein pose and all that. I'm like, nah, man, I need to damn near be in the crowd, be in the stands and tell the crowd to hype up a little bit. I don't need all this cool showboating. I need some, get the troops rallied up. That's what I needed. So, all in all, being swept, yeah, you getting swept. Yeah, you down 3-0, but, man, that game 4, I just wanted to see a little bit more fight down the stretch. Game 4, yes, LeBron had an amazing first half, but even that told me what I needed to know. Yes, he was going crazy, but it didn't mean much to the other role players on the team. Like, we've seen LeBron go crazy in Miami. That got Shane Battier going, got Mike going, Mike Miller going, got Mario Chalmers, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. Like, we've seen LeBron go crazy on other teams, and that will rally the rest of the team like, okay, y'all, LeBron going crazy. We got to step up for him. And it was the most obvious because he's saying, okay, first half, I'm going to go crazy. Second half, AD, your turn, tag in. And, of course, like I said, Anthony Davis, inconsistent. Only so much we can ask of Reeves and Hachimura. We didn't have nobody else to step up, and we got swept. Darvin Ham, I think he started Hachimura, if I'm not mistaken, game 4. He brought in Tristan Thompson for a couple minutes. The writing was on the wall, in my opinion, even with LeBron's amazing first quarter. I was like, okay, Denver not even in their next gear yet, and they only down, 10, 15 points. In this NBA, 10, 15 points, the way the three-point shots going, the way the referees calling fouls and ones and all that, 10 to 15, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. Lakers got swept. Once again, like I said, y'all had to give me at least one, and y'all didn't, but it is what it is. Overall, like I said last week, we made some changes throughout the season. If you would have told me in October, hey, Tyler, Lakers still somehow, some way would make the Western Conference Finals, I would have laughed, but it is what it is. Now, going into the offseason, after Game 4, LeBron was talking about, I got to think my career and all whoop-de-whoop, teasing retirement. If you think LeBron James is going to retire after not only passing Kareem on the all-time scoring list, but in the same season getting swept in the Western Conference Finals, that's not going to happen. The late, great, my GOAT, Kobe Bryant, he had his last tour. I forgot what they were calling not the last ride, but, the farewell tour Kobe Bryant had. You can only imagine the type of farewell tour LeBron James is going to have when he does announce he's retiring. LeBron's not retiring. It's still the thing about his son, because Bronny signed to USC. Do he want to play with his son? I saw a quote. He was saying, yeah, I would like to play with my son, but that's not necessarily his dream. So, it is what it is, but I don't see LeBron retiring. What I do think should happen, I mean, if some way, somehow we keep LeBron, Anthony Davis, I'm not going to say it's a question mark, but man, if that what he go show us in the Western Conference Finals going up against Jokic, because clearly Jokic outplayed him, I mean, what else can we do with Anthony Davis if we going up against the guy in the West? And that how Anthony Davis is going to perform? I'm not saying see what you can get for him, but I mean, that question is more prevalent now than it was in years past, in my opinion, with Anthony Davis being the Laker. We got the Jokic AD battle, and clearly Jokic won. We'll see how that goes. Pay Austin Reeves. Keep Hachimura. There's rumors of possibly going for Kyrie Irving. I said it at the time throughout the season when there was like maybe the Lakers will get Kyrie. One, it depends on which Kyrie Irving we get. Two, with the media and all that, I'm cool, honestly. And three, it looks good on paper, but we get Kyrie Irving. We probably handicapping our bench, the role players we can get throughout the offseason. So in my opinion, I mean, it's tough. It's tough because we've been saying for years now, LeBron and AD, the main goal for LeBron and AD is for LeBron to pass the keys to AD, but we see how that could possibly go. So I'm not sure. In all honesty, like I said, keep those four. If you want to keep AD, that's cool. Fill out the bench, get some length, get some guys who can play defense, and get some shooters. That's all I need. Get some length, some defense, and some shooters, and get us a ball handler, a legit ball handler. And I think we'll be all right. Not saying we're going to be in the running for a championship or nothing like that, but I'll be more confident as a Lakers fan if we just had a good, solid team. And like I said, maybe we would have started the season with the batch of guys that we got now. Maybe it would have been different, but I mean, all in all, if I just had to put the reason we got swept, not the reason we lost the series, but the reason we got swept, I don't think we had enough D'Angelo Russell. And I wouldn't mind seeing what we can get for him, package him up. We can get somebody who can shoot better, be more consistent throughout the playoffs than D'Angelo Russell. That would be cool as well. But for the time being, off season, what I want the Lakers to do, ball handler, length, defense, and shooters. And we'll go from there. Darvin Ham, first-year head coach, not mad at it. Not mad at it. All learning experience. But we did get swept. I wish we would have got at least one. But hey, once again, congrats to the Denver Nuggets. Congrats to Jokic. They are heading to the NBA Finals. The Lakers, Cancun on 3. See y'all next year, Lakers. And coming off that Nuggets-Lakers series, Carmelo Anthony announced his retirement from the league. And fun fact, the Denver Nuggets was the team that drafted Carmelo Anthony coming out of Syracuse, and the last team Carmelo officially played for was the Lakers. So that was an odd fact, and that was a great time, honestly, for Carmelo to announce his retirement with that fact going around. But Carmelo, Hall of Famer, great scorer, all in all. His son should be coming to the league very, very soon. The son he has with Lala. So great career from Carmelo Anthony. Definitely one of the most potent scorers of our generation. But now let's get to this Eastern Conference Final Series between the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat. What a series it's been. If you would have told me last week we would be going to a Game 7 with this series, I'd be like, how? Because the first two games in Boston, like I talked about last week, the Miami Heat just dominated. They took down the TD Garden sign, brought it back to South Beach. They felt very, very confident going back to South Beach. They won Game 3. So all roads just led to another sweep in the conference finals, which raised some eyebrows from a lot of people because, once again, didn't matter when the conference finals ended, the NBA Finals are set to start this Thursday, June 1st. So people was like, well, the Western Conference ending in the sweep and the Eastern Conference ending in the sweep? Nah, no way they're going to let that happen. We're not going to go that long without NBA playoffs going on our television after they've been on for the past month and a half damn near 2 months it feels like. So, I mean, If you want to say Adam Silver made the call or the script writers did something with the Eastern Conference Finals, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But I mean, if I did not see this series going to a Game 7, I just want to say that because Miami just looked totally different now. Boston, yes, they are hitting shots. They're living by the three. They're dying by the three. But Miami just looked too locked in at the time for me to just be like, wow, they've really lost all this momentum. And like I said earlier, the way it's looking, Miami possibly giving up a 3-0 lead. This will be the first time in NBA history a team has lost from a 3-0 lead to any team in the playoffs, actually. And then Boston to have the fight and do all that with little rest to just do the turnaround and face Denver. If Miami wins somehow, some way in Boston, I got Denver beating them in 5, maybe 4, honestly. And if Boston win, I probably have Denver beating them in 5. You know what I'm saying? Denver just looked too locked in, and these teams are just, it's just a weird Eastern Conference Finals in my opinion. But sticking with Game 6, of course, White with the amazing finish. I saw it when it happened. I honestly didn't even know the ball went in the basket. I thought it was, game over. Finally, Miami able to close out Boston. But then I saw the referee instantly say it was good. And I was like, whoa, what's going on? They showed the replay. Clearly, the ball was out his hand before the clock went out. Boston, somehow, some way, forces a Game 7. That game happened last night. So when you hear this, it happened already. I'm just guessing Boston's going to win Game 7. There's no way. Of course, Eric Spoelstra going to have them ready. Jimmy Butler, even him coming out looking like a dog the first 3 games, he hasn't looked like himself. And if Jimmy Butler don't look like himself, Adebayo's not going to be himself. Duncan Robinson got to hit threes. Vincent, I believe, was injured for Game 5, I'm not mistaken. So Eric Spoelstra is going to do his best to keep his team in the game, ready for this Game 7 and a hostile Boston environment. But, man, coming off that Game 6 loss like that, I mean, I just don't – it's going to be tough for Miami to go up in Boston and win that game. And Boston at the time, everybody's kind of stepping up at the moment. Of course, Tatum leading the charge. Jaylen Brown trying to find a rhythm. Like I said, White with the game winner. Marcus Smart making shots. It's going to be tough for Miami to go up in Boston to get Game 7. But I'm going with Boston to win Game 7. Obviously, I got Denver winning the finals regardless. Like I said, if it's against Boston, I got Denver in 5. If it's against Miami, it might be a sweep or in 5. Yeah. Like I said, it's hard for me to say sweep, but the way Miami look, if Miami does beat Boston, that's going to be a hell of a turnaround for them to try to face Denver. Now, that situation, it'll be like, okay, I might need to say sweep, but matter of fact, I'll say 5 for both because Denver just looked too locked in to me right now. Wow. That Eastern Conference, it's a wild conference, man. Conference Finals is wild. But we got to remember, Miami Heat, they are the 8th seed. I mean, is it just them coming to the light and showing it finally? Boston, one of the top seeds in the East. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But like I said, obviously, when y'all hear this, Eastern Conference Finals will be wrapped up. I got Boston winning in Boston for Game 7. But, as we've seen numerous times throughout these playoffs, we just have to wait and see what happens. But this has been episode 212, Stash House Podcast. Thank y'all for tuning in. Once again, this episode is audio only. Hopefully, I'll be back on YouTube and everything next week. But thank y'all for tuning in. I mean, it's a podcast, so people are used to just hearing audio only. But, some people only tuned in for YouTube purposes. But, it is what it is. It is what it is. Make sure y'all go out, have a great week. Hopefully, everybody had a safe holiday weekend. Spend time with your family, your friends. If you just stay low-key to yourself, nothing wrong with that as well. Get your rest. Relax, enjoy this weather while you can, drink plenty of water, be aware of your surroundings. If you're traveling, stay safe as well. And keep me in your prayers. I do the same for y'all. Salute.